I hope you are not feeling sleepy. We'll keep the class short today. So I think it will be very quick. So please pay attention. So we are talking about report and dashboard today. What does it mean? Report and dashboard basically is how you can see your data in a different way, right? So of course, this is a read operations wherein you are basically seeing or visualizing what data you have now in the application, right? So that's the whole point of seeing it. So it starts with a report. What are the different types of reports we have? So first is a tabular report. What is a tabular report? A report which looks like a table. That's it. Tabular report. So it has some rows and some columns. Okay. It's the simplest and easiest form of report, which is a tabular form report. If we see that in a table or in a tabular report, there is some value of any column which is repeating, like value A, value 2, again value A, value 2, right? So that is repeating value, right? Any column which has repeating values or multiple values, multiple same, you're seeing that values again and again. What you can do is you can group by that column. And what are you grouping? You are basically doing a kind of a summation, average, mean or max of any numeric value. So if this is a numeric column wherein you have 100, 200, 300, 400, in that case you can do a summation of this column. Usually summation is used. So like I will say group all the rows which has value 1 and add them. So this will result in a table which will have value 1, 400, 300 plus 100, and value 2 which will be have 500. Any questions so far? If we group by any column and add up any other numeric column based on that group, this type of report is called a summary report. Any questions? Go ahead. Yes, go ahead. Yeah, Somnath, go ahead. What is your question? Quite like load up. Yes, you're right. But here you are grouping the table itself, right? All rows of the table is getting grouped. Min max can also be used. Yeah, but a grouping of rows and columns. Quite similar to roll up. Yes, you're right. So this is what is called a grouping of columns is called a summarized report or summary report. There is also a third type of report which is called matrix report. What does it mean? Okay, by that way, grouping of the columns can be one, can be more than one. So you can group this column, you can again group this column. Both columns can be grouped, okay? But this grouping is called grouping of rows. Okay? That means these are the rows which you are trying to group. And you can have more than one groups, okay? So one is a primary group, then there's a secondary group and third group. But what is a matrix report? Matrix report is something which is called grouping by columns. That has to be there. Sorry, grouping of rows. That has to be there. That means summary report first. If you have also a grouping of columns on top of grouping of rows, then that becomes a matrix report. What does it mean? It means one column has been grouped in row and another column has been grouped as columns. Okay, how does it look like? Let's see that. We'll start from a tabular report and then we'll make it a summary report. then we will make it a matrix report. Yeah, let's see that. The reports can be created by a system administrator. A report can also be created by a normal user. Since this can be created by normal users, that is why reports and dashboards, both of these tabs are outside of setup. It is not inside setup. Yeah. So reports and dashboard can be created by normal users who are not administrators. And of course, administrators can also create it. So it is not inside setup. Please remember this. Okay. By default, all the standard objects, most of these, you will, when you create a new report, you will see a lot of report types. What are report types? Report types are reports that you can create using one objects, two objects, or three objects at the same time. Okay, there are many standard report types given by Salesforce. That is a combination of one object, two object, or three objects at max. You can also create your own report type. Right? We'll start with the basic report, which is a standard report. Let's see how an opportunity report can be created. So if you go to opportunities, there are many type of report types. These are standard report types given by Salesforce. We'll just take one, that is one object. You can also choose opportunities with products. That means it is joined between opportunity and product. Then you will get the columns of opportunity as well as products, both. Yeah, so that's the benefit. So if you have a relationship between two objects, you can create a joining of that report. So let's start a report.
Sir, I have a question, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, can we create any custom type of report?
Yes, you can. I will
Okay,
show it.
okay, okay.
This is right now we are not creating the report type. We are creating the report. Okay, we are using a standard report type. So what we can do is that this is by default. I have chosen the opportunity report type. I can name this report by my opportunity report. Yeah. By the default, it has some columns inside it. You can, if you are happy with it, you can just name this my opportunity report type, and you can save it in a folder. What is this folder? It's just like Google Drives. If you save in a folder, you can share it to other people. So for now, I will keep it in a private folder. Private report means is available to all users of your organization. If you have a private folder also, private report, in that case, you are the only person who can use this report. Nobody else can use this report. Okay. And you can also keep it in a new folder, and then you can share it according to how a Google Drive, Google folder works, right? You can share that folder to other people. Individual reports cannot be shared. You have to share the folder. Okay. So what happened? I am seeing that there are no values. Why? Because it is showing probably the current deadline. So I will make it all time, and I can see all opportunities are showing up for me, right? So this is basically a runtime window, which I can use also. I can go to the edit mode also. This is the edit mode. Okay, both are fine. In runtime window, you get a lot less option to change, but in edit mode, you get a lot more to change. So here are the columns of a report. It's a simple tabular report, right? So there are no groups. You see, group of rows is not there. There is no group. So how can we group? And what will we group? Typically, something which is repeating again and again. You see, the stage of an opportunity is repeating again and again. So what if I want to see the sum of all opportunities which is in specific stage? So what will I do? I will say, let me group. Stage is fine. Let's keep stage here. The report, like columns I don't want, I can remove them. Yeah. Probably I will keep a few age, probability, amount, fiscal period. Yeah, let's keep this, save and run. So now my report is a lot simpler to look at. This is my report, revised report. I can go and group here, group rows by this field, okay? But I can also do the grouping here. So I will say I will group by stage. Run. What are you seeing now? You are seeing basically this report been grouped by a field value. If I remove the detail rows, here you can make more sense here. You see, here you are seeing that I am seeing the stage opportunities are being now grouped by their stage values. So all the opportunities which are in specific stage, their record count is showing here. So there are only one opportunity in prospecting stage. There are two opportunity in value proposition stage, three opportunity in decision making stage, 18 opportunity which is in closed won stage. If I see the details, I can see them all, right? But I have a subtotal, and but subtotal is blank, right? Nothing is showing up. Grand total is blank, subtotal is blank. Nothing is, there is no totaling. Why? Because I have not like added up mean, max, average, nothing I have done on any column. So I have chosen the column to group, but I have not chosen which column value I want to add up. So here, if there is a numeric field in Salesforce, you will see this hash sign, and you can use a summarize. You see, sum, average, mean, max, median. It has a little more function, which is median. If you do not know what is the value of median, please study. This is not a math class. So this is how it is working. So if you see now, it is grouping the opportunities by one field and adding the amount field values of multiple opportunities together and showing the sum of those amounts. So what is happening? Basically, all the opportunities which belong to this stage, their amount field gets added up, and I can see a subtotaling, and all the subtotals are again added up to create a grand total. It is very easy to see when you see this way. Clear? Any questions? I can remove subtotal if I don't want. I can remove grand total if I don't want. So you can play around with this. I can remove the record count if I don't want. Okay. So this is called a summary report. Of course, you can go ahead and create multiple grouping of rows. It still will remain a summary. So what will happen if I edit again, and I will say that I have grouped by stage, but I also want to group by type. It's a type column also, right? So this is my primary grouping stage, and then I have a secondary grouping called type. So if I do this, you will see there are two levels of grouping. Stage has been grouped and then type has been grouped. If I remove the detail rows, you will see this way, right? Under prospecting stage, again, inside that, we have two type of groupings. One field, some opportunities which belong to this type, some opportunities belonging to that type. So I have subtotaling for each grouping step by step, right? So there is a subtotal of these types, and then there is a subtotal of the stage, and then there is a grand total of all opportunities, right? Any questions? So this is still a summary report. But what if I don't want to summarize two fields as rows? I want to group type in column. Will happen there. Will that look different? Of course, it will look different. Now what will happen? You will see that I will remove this first and row count also. See this, what is happening. So Here on the left, you are seeing the stage grouping, and the type grouping now is done on the column. So now you are seeing a sum of amount for each stage. Under that, you had two rows of different sums. Right now you're seeing the sum side by side. So the summation is happening on columns rather than rows inside a stage. That is easy to see. So it is a grouping of rows as well as grouping by columns. And this kind of a report is called a matrix report. Yeah, you can open up grand total also if you want. So whenever you click any of this field like this amount, you will see actually which opportunities belong down below. If you select this, it will keep on changing there. You can add row count also. It will show you how many opportunities was there. You see 3 opportunities being there. When you click it, all this put together is 1,10,000, which is showing up. 35,000. How many opportunities are there? Showing up. This has 7 opportunities. It is showing up there. Any questions so far? Okay. Reports will always, when it runs, it catches and fetches you the actual data which is there in database. So reports are always dynamic in nature. That means if there is another user who is creating a new record or deleting a record, and you are also running this report, every time you run the report, the fresh picture will come. So if there is a new record that got created, that will also come into your report. The next time you run the report, if there is a record which is deleted, then that will also not come in your report the next time you run the report, right? So instantaneously, whatever is changing in the database or whatever is changing in Salesforce is immediately available in the reports. So by default, reports are dynamic. That means the data inside a report, what you are seeing is exactly the situation, what is there stored in Salesforce at that point. Okay. So you can go and subscribe and export. First, let's see the export. When you export, the report can be exported in Excel format, or if you want a retail format, it supports CSVs also. You can export this, and you can add chart also here. If you go down, these are different kinds of charts. You can play around with it, how it looks like. Yeah, this is the bar chart, horizontal chart. My favorite is the donut. Yeah, this is donut chart. So you can play around with these charts. Charts are only available if you are using either a summary report or a matrix report. Tabular report cannot have charts because there is no grouping. So there is nothing to chart. Okay, so you can have a chart. You can change the filter as we have already seen. Now we'll see what is a subscribe. When we are talking about subscribe, you can send this report to people on their mails, and you can send it daily, weekly, or monthly. In that case, they don't have to log into Salesforce at a specific time of the day. Okay, and you can send who is the recipient. The recipient should be users of Salesforce. So you can choose users, you can choose roles, you can choose public groups. What is a public group? We have already seen that, right? A group of users, a group of roles, group of other public groups can be a public group. So a group of users, basically. So you can send to a group of users, roles, or users, individual users, right? And what is this run report as? Run report as means whose report or whose data are you sending to all these people? The recipient will get whose data, because when you are scheduling a report, at that point, at the moment, whose report are you running, whose data are you sending to everybody? That is very critical, right? Because report is dynamic. So who is logging in is very critical. So the same report, if run by different people, it will abide by the sharing settings. Okay. If like OWD is set to private, then the non-owners cannot see the records in the report. Okay. So those all logic which we have learned in last classes will all apply. So you will see only data which is applicable for you. Any data wherein you have the powers to see, that data only you will see. So report will abide by all that logic. So if you want to show a lot of data to these people, so these people will not see their own data. So you will run the report as me. That means the person who is creating the report or any other person. Typically, these will be system administrators whom you select. They will get a lot more data, or managers typically. That data will be shared to different people. Okay. So that's how it is scheduled. So report is sending report or scheduling a report is just like taking a snapshot. That means taking a screenshot of this report and sending it via mail. Yeah, but that becomes a static information. That is not dynamic, right? Any questions so far?
Sir, I have two questions, sir.
Mhm.
Without user, can we send the report to any external ID?
No, you
Okay,
can't.
sir. Can we import any report from outside to create any Tableau report like that?
Import report, there is no facility of importing any other report. You have to
Okay,
create
so
it.
we have to create it by own.
Yes, you have to
Okay, sir.
create it from scratch.
Okay, got it, sir.
I will also now explain about report type. What is a report type? Whenever you create a new object, just like we created a object called application, for standard, of course, it is report enabled. But when you create a new object, not always the report is enabled. You see, when you create a custom object, the report is not enabled by default. So you have to edit that object and enable report, allow reports. Okay, see how it happens. So I want to create a report on application object. That is a custom object. So if I go to report tab, let's create a new report and I will search with application. See, there is nothing, no report type called application. That means this object is not enabled for reporting at all. So if I now go ahead and enable reports for application object, allow reports and save, automatically an application report type will get created for you. So next time I refresh and I create new report and I search with application, oh, it is a master detail. Okay, master detail will come under a master parent report. So it will come under account. So if I create a normal report, it will come under that. But here now it will come under accounts report, account and application. Okay, standard application report it has created. So, but if you create a different custom object which does not have a master detail relationship, like this, not this, employee, allow reports. Employees report is there, right? It creates a standard report called employees, a report credit. Now you can also create a relationship with employees, maybe with account, like a lookup relationship with account. You see, employees and employees with account is also created automatically by Salesforce because there is a relationship between employees and accounts, right? Uh, so these kind of report types, you can also create your own report type based on different kinds of other relationships. Creating a report type is quite simple. You can go here. Usually it is you created for your custom. So you will go to report. These are the report types, and you can create your own custom report type. And you can say primary object is employee. It will go into employees category. This is not relevant. You can use anything. And then you can choose your related object. Your related object usually are child objects which you can add down below. So you can say that employees and any child objects of employees you want to add up with some values. Like you say that only use the employees which has any child records, right, in this object. So this kind of a report type you can create on your own. Okay. So this is all about reports. Now we go to dashboard. What is a dashboard? Dashboard is a graphical representation of the report, which we already saw. If we want to put it all together, that becomes a dashboard for the super people to see, or the management to see. Why? Have you ever heard about the term dashboard apart from software? In your real life, have you ever heard the term dashboard?
Yes, sir.
Where?
Sir, our desks has dashboards or workbenches has dashboards.
Workbench? No, no, not in software industry. Anything in your common life, common day-to-day life. Have you ever seen the usage of the word dashboard before?
No, sir, workbenches in like, sir, we used to do embedded devices.
Hmm.
So we have that embedded workbench, workbench station where we used to solder. We have other components. We have dashboards over there.
It's the same thing, like where you can see everything together, put together, right? But that is typical of your specialized industry. I want a general public. Will general human being use the word dashboard anywhere?
So I have seen a lot of dashboard.
What?
Uh, when I was playing a game, there is a lot of menu and dashboard over there like that.
No, no, no. Forget software industry. In your
Okay.
day-to-day life, have you seen the term dashboard to be used anywhere till now? How many of you have cars? Anybody? Or bike? Anything?
Yes, I
Yes,
have.
yes, sir.
Have you heard the term dashboard in your car or bike?
Yes, sir.
Huh? What is that dashboard?
So it's the console where we can see
All of
various
the details,
about the
What kind of details?
like meter, then
edge.
the data, yeah, we used to get, when we are riding a bike,
What
that
what
can,
data? Give me one example of the data.
like kilometer, then
Speed.
fuel,
Speed.
yeah, speed
Very
also.
the most important is the speedometer which we have, right?
Yes,
That
sir.
is
The RPM.
right. Yeah, everything. The fuel tank, how much fuel is there? Nowadays, it shows you how your fuel tank is on which side, left side, on the right side. Then it also shows you what is your mileage going on, right? Can you ride a bike or a car without a dashboard?
It would be difficult.
It will be difficult. What difficulty will you face if the dashboard is not there for you?
We'll not be able to gauge the speed, exact speed, or we'll not be able to see the fuel left.
That's fine. You are not seeing that. We understand. But what is the problem in that? If you don't see, what happens?
We'll not be able to make decisions.
Yes, you cannot make decisions. So for making instantaneous decisions, a very simplified form of data needs to be shown in your eyes, right? That is the whole purpose of dashboard, whether that is in software industry or whether it is in your car or your bike. The purpose of a dashboard is the same: instant decision making, facilitating instant decision making through pictorial representation of data. Okay, because if I give you Excel sheet, it is not possible for you to read and make sense out of that, right? A data in the form of rows and columns is very difficult to understand. But if there is that is shown in a graphical representation, in a bar chart, graph chart, and so on, then you can immediately understand what is going wrong, what needs to be corrected, where it needs to be corrected. Your immediate attention and focus to make changes in your organization is very easy. So this dashboard is so essential for decision makers of an organization to look at. So reports is very good. Reports gives the data in a very crude form or maybe in grouped form. But taking instance decisions just by looking into that data is very difficult. For that, this graphical representation or dashboard creation is very essential. And that is the reason, this is the job of dashboard. So when we create a new dashboard, actually we are creating some components, just like speedometer or fuel tank is your thing. So similarly, the purpose of a dashboard is same. So whom I am creating this dashboard for? Maybe the CEO. He wants to see the data and instantly take decision. Right? Steering committee probably would be the best people who need this data. It's not necessarily only them. Even the salesman can also have their own dashboard. It's not a problem. Same. You have to create your own folder and save it there. And this is the decision making canvas. Now, when you have to add some components, the components are what? Actually, the reports which you have just created. You can use a report again and again, or you can use multiple reports. So this report which we have created now, I will create three different graphical representation of the same report. A bar chart, a bar chart, and maybe a funnel chart. All the three. Okay. You can size it according to your benefit. Right. This is my dashboard. This I will share to the CEO, or CEO can log in and see this dashboard and he can instantly take decisions. Right. How? So my CEO will see this dashboard. He can see, he can see what is only 11K for this. Let's see this in reports. So he can focus his energies only on that portion of the data, right? So that is the whole purpose of a dashboard. So when you click, you go to actually that zone of your data, and it can be pictorially represented. You say this needs analysis is pending with a long amount. What is happening here? I click on it, and I can actually see only those opportunities, and I can make decision making very quickly. So that is what the whole purpose of dashboard is. Dashboard is by default static, unlike report, which is dynamic, which will fetch the data from the database immediately. Dashboard will not do that. Okay, dashboard is by default static. Dashboard has to be refreshed to fetch new information. So, and you can directly subscribe. Since it is static, there is no need to select the run as user. Because run and this dashboard is created and the data is already there. So there is no need to set another run and user, right? The creator is already the runner as user. But you can make a dashboard dynamic also. So if I go in the edit mode, and here you see I can view dashboard as me, view dashboard as somebody other person, or I can make dashboard as dashboard viewer. When I make these two are static, that means individual users data you are only seeing. If I make a dashboard viewer, then this become a dynamic dashboard. If you set a dynamic dashboard, that means only the user who is logging in whatever data he or she is enabled to see, they only can see that data. And this you have to save in a separate folder. It is not allowing me to save because it is the private folder I have created. So whenever you run a dashboard, you see viewing as on image managing, right? That is very important. So whose data are you seeing? It is shown on the top. And if you make a dashboard dynamic, let me create a folder. Now I will try to make it dynamic. Here, in that case, what will happen? Whoever is logging in, only that person's data is shown. Similar to report, it will behave like report. When you make a dashboard dynamic, you cannot subscribe. Then the subscription option is gone, because whose data will you send, right? Any person, this dashboard data will look different for different people. Whoever is logging in, they will see only their data. So you can make a dashboard dynamic, but then you cannot send this dashboard via mail. Okay. You can also make people to switch the dashboard user. So you let dashboard viewers choose whom they want to view dashboard as. If you do that, then the logged in person can see his own data by default, and I can also change to see somebody else's data. What would be the dashboard for this person look like? And the data will change, right? So if you are giving this option to people, they can switch users. But this is also dynamic dashboard. This cannot be again subscribed. Only the default dashboard, which is running as me or some other user whose data is shared, that is a static dashboard, and that can be sent to people. Any questions so far? No questions? So before we close the class, one fast quick query. How many types of reports did we see today? Give me names.
2 types, sir.
So three.
Three. What are the three types of reports?
Tabular,
Hmm.
summary, and
Matrix.
matrix.
Summary, matrix. Great. What is the difference between these three reports?
So for a tabular report, if we group it by rows, then we have a summary report,
Yes.
and on top of row grouping, if we add a grouping of columns, this becomes the matrix report.
Absolutely right. So grouping of columns will create summary report. You can group more than one fields. It does not matter. Both are summary fields.
Yes.
But if you have at least one field which is grouped by columns, then that becomes a matrix report.
Matrix.
Okay. One thing to remember, there is a fourth type of report, which is called join report. We are not discussing this in our class. But if you have any questions and in the certification, if you see what are the different types of reports, then you have to mention 4, not 3. Okay. Join report is also a type of report, which is 2 reports put together. That is also a feature of Salesforce called join reports. Okay, let's go ahead. But we will not discuss this. Is the advanced reporting feature. So now let's come to dashboard. Which is dynamic, report or dashboard?
Reports.
Okay,
Reports.
cool. And can I make dashboards dynamic?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
How
sir.
can I make dashboard dynamic?
Sir, from creating a new folder.
No, creating a new folder is fine. That is a requisite, of course, but that is not a dependency for creating dynamic report. What it takes to create a dynamic report? Sorry, dynamic dashboard.
Sir, we have to change the view dashboard as a portion, the
Yes,
dashboard viewer, uh, if we set it to
yes.
some other
Let the dashboard, let the dashboard be seen as login user.
user.
That option, that will make it a dynamic. If you make it dynamic, you cannot subscribe it, right?
Yes,
And you cannot send via mail. But if it is static dashboard, then you can send to
right.
people. What is a run as user for reports? What is a run as user for reports? What is important for run as user? Running user, run as user. Very important concept. This will come in your exams. Bolo, no idea? If you subscribe to a report, then you are basically taking a screenshot of your report and sending to people, right? So report is dynamic. Which person's report will you send to people, right? The person's data which you are sending to everybody, that is a run as user. Clear? That can be a creator itself who created the report. Most of the time it is the creator itself, but you can also set a different user also. Clear? And report and dashboards, all this mechanism will abide by whatever we have learned in security and sharing. So any data which you are not entitled to see will never appear in any report or dashboard. Please remember, in dashboard, you might see somebody else's data in pictorial form if it is a static dashboard, right? Because that is somebody else's data you're seeing. But when you run the report or click inside that dashboard, actually that data will not be available to you because you don't have permission to see it. So in graphical representation, you will might see that there are some data here, but when you click it, you will not actually see any data inside that report. Clear?
That means that only when it is made dynamic and shared with us.
Report is always dynamic, right? When you click on the dashboard, it actually takes you to a report.
Okay, okay,
That is why report is dynamic. So I don't have a permission to see that data. I won't see anything.
okay.
But in the dashboard, it is a pictorial form, and dashboard is static, and it is somebody else's data. I can make it static because probably that the creator's data is there, right? It is all actually a picture. So picture, you can see picture from anybody else, right?
So we can only see because it is a static uh, thing.
It is a static thing, and dashboard is always created with somebody's data,
Yes.
right? So there is a dashboard user whose data viewing as on the top, which you see, that person's data is fetched and dashboard is created, and that data can be seen by everybody, even if they do not have access to that data. But when they click on that section, they will be taken to the report. But if that data is not available to them, then the report will not show that data. Clear? That is all we had for the class. I hope you enjoyed the class. Please practice with reports and dashboards. Next week we have the last class, and the admin course will be complete. In the next class, I will also give you an assignment for prize money. Dipanjan is not qualified to participate, but of course he can do the assignment, and he has to do the assignment. Everybody else can earn money. Yeah. So please practice flows very well, so that again that would be a flow assignment. After next class, we will give you some time to study and then come back to us for internal evaluation. We will do a mock interview. Some senior folks will take your interviews, most probably the people who will take your next classes. If you are you are quite prepared with your admin, then you move on to the dev portion or advanced courses. So please buck up, complete your trailhead if you have already not done it. Trailhead 1 to 3, admin, intermediate, and advanced must be complete by now. Okay. Anybody who has not completed still now?
Done.
Hmm? Sorry. Yeah, if